Hey, Kyle here with whenthehouseyoulove.com. In this video, I'm going to help you compare the pros and cons of buying now versus buying later. And if you've been considering buying at any time within the upcoming year, you've likely been feeling like roller coaster interest rates are making timing the market feel impossible. Should I buy now with high rates? Or I hear about rates are going to drop in the future, and so maybe I should buy then. And so it makes it feel like you have to be some sort of market expert to be able to buy a house. On top of that, the current interest rates are making monthly payments feel impossible. As interest rates go up, so does your monthly payment, and that makes things even more difficult. Now, by the end of 2024, this is what different experts are expecting for interest rates. So the Mortgage Bankers Association is expecting 6.1%, Fannie Mae is expecting 5.8%, Realtor.com is expecting 6.5%, and Redfin is expecting 6.6%, giving us an average of 6.25% interest rate. So that's the expectation for end of 2024. Now, let's first run through an example of if you waited for a lower rate, what would happen? And a nice little disclaimer to put in here too is that we don't know that interest rates will lower by the end of 2024. That's the expectation, but things can always change in markets, and there's no guarantee that interest rates will lower. So if we took a look at, let's say, a $400,000 home, with 5% down on a 30-year standard conventional loan, today you might be looking at an interest rate of around a 7.25%. Now, at the end of 2024, if we go back to the predictions from different outlets, we're looking at a 6.25%. So this would be us banking on the future that interest rates would lower. The payment would go from principal and interest would go from $2,592 per month to $2,340 per month. So you're seeing a savings of $253 per month lower if interest rates lower to 6.25 and you're able to buy a $400,000 house at that time. Now, one of the big differences here is if you do choose to wait for interest rates to lower, is you're going to have more what's called purchasing power. And so the way purchasing power works is, for instance, we have this lower monthly payment. You would be able to purchase $40,000 more for the same payment that you would have today. So you'd be able to purchase a $440,000 house for the same payment that today you can get only a $400,000 house. So by waiting for lower rates, you may be able to have more purchasing power to be able to afford more house. Now, if we look at the 5-year cost, over 5 years with this loan in interest and private mortgage insurance, you'd be paying just about $134,000 compared to with a lower interest rate, you'd be paying $115,000 over 5 years. Now, this is assuming you're not refinancing in that time. So that would be at $19,000 in savings by choosing to wait for a lower interest rate. Now, are these expectations reasonable? Do we know that interest rates are going to lower? Ultimately, no. We don't know what's going to happen through the rest of 2024 or into 2025. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen in the economy or with interest rates, but we do have some general ideas of what we expect to happen. Number one, when we're looking at some major economic factors that are going to impact your decision to buy a home and what interest rates will do, is inflation. We expect inflation to come down, and the reason we expect that is because the Federal Reserve is increasing the federal funds rate to combat inflation, to try to bring inflation down, which would then lower mortgage interest rates. We also expect that when inflation does come down, that the Federal Reserve will reduce the Fed funds rate, and we also expect mortgage rates to come down when inflation is at the Federal Reserve's target. Now, because of this, because of lower interest rates, we do expect there to be more demand. There's a lot of buyers who are kind of sitting on the sidelines, likely in the same position as you if you're watching this video trying to figure out, should I wait for interest rates to lower to buy a home? And those people who are sitting on the sidelines, when they see interest rates go down, they're likely going to want to go out and start looking for homes. And that's going to increase demand, which could affect home prices. Now, we do also expect inventory to increase when rates lower. That way, more people feel like they're not giving up a super low interest rate on their home. Prices and competition for the moment, we expect to be stable for the rest of the year until we see how all these other factors begin to play out. We don't want to create a whole narrative about what's going to happen with prices and competition until we see what's happening with interest rates and inventory. And then we also have this statement from the chief economist of the National Association of Realtors, saying there's simply not enough homes for sale. The market can easily absorb a doubling of inventory. And so what some people have been afraid of is that if we do see interest rates lower, that means more people are going to list their home for sale, which increases inventory, and then home prices are going to plummet. But like this economist is saying, is that the market actually can absorb quite a bit more inventory that won't affect prices as drastically. Now, through all this, you might be feeling like, what if I buy at the wrong time? A lot of people are afraid of having buyers of remorse, of saying, we bought at the wrong time. And my first question that is, we bought at the wrong time, is wrong for who? Who was it wrong for? If you bought a house that you love and can afford it, there isn't a wrong, you didn't do anything wrong. Most people buy not because of financial reasons. They didn't buy because they're trying to get a super nice rate or trying to save a ton of money. Most people are buying a home because they're tired of renting and not being able to control the space that they live in. They need a bigger backyard for their dog. Maybe they need a smaller home because kids have moved out and they have mobility concerns. Maybe they need an extra bedroom because their family is growing. Most people do not buy a home because of financial reasons. And so it's really easy to kind of get stuck in this wormhole on YouTube of feeling like you have to be this market timing expert. So much of YouTube is centered around the fear that you may have of timing the market right. If you look at a lot of thumbnails or a lot of video titles, it's really centered around this fear that you may have of, maybe I'm making the wrong decision, or should I wait? You start to second guess what actually mattered. The real reason why you're buying a house probably isn't because you're an investor who wants to make money. You're likely wanting to buy a house because it's going to change your lifestyle, and that's what you're looking for. Again, it may just be a smaller home, a bigger home, a home that's more accessible, a home where you can entertain, or a home that's even cheaper, maybe than some other options in your area with renting. You deserve to feel like you can buy a home without crippling buyer's remorse. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover two different plans. What if you buy now, and what if you wait? And I'll leave it up to you for what decision you want to choose. I'm not going to pressure you or bully you into either one of these decisions. You shouldn't have to feel like a market expert to be able to buy a house, and feeling like where you live is this big, stressful game of timing the market is exhausting. So I'm going to help you figure out if you should buy now or if waiting on the sidelines is best. Now, some quick disclaimers here. You make the decisions about when to buy, not me, not a bunch of people on YouTube, not real estate agents, not loan officers, not your friends or your cousins or whoever. You're the one who makes the decision about when to buy. Focus on the timeline that serves you best, and not one based out of fear or based on what other people tell you to do. And don't compromise your financial health based on emotions. It's really easy to kind of get sucked in the wormhole of social media, and it starts telling you what you should do and starts making you feel like I should be in a different place in life. Do not compromise your financial health and make financial decisions just because you see what's happening online, or you start getting in this ecosystem of people telling you what to do. So if you're looking to buy now, here are my tips. There are tons of reasons to buy that are not related to finances. And if you don't get clear on why you're wanting to buy a home, someone else will decide that why for you. If you look online, a lot of the reasons to buy or not to buy are related purely on timing the market. And what I want you to do is get extremely clear on, why are you buying a home? Is your family growing in size? Do you need a smaller home? Do you need a more accessible home? Get extremely clear on why you're buying. Write it down on an index card and put it on the fridge, or put it on a note on your phone. Have a conversation with your partner about this. Get extremely clear on why you're buying. That way it's unwavering in the face of emotions or in the face of news that comes out that is just meant to sway your opinion on things. Also, make sure you're ready. And to me, I think that means you have at least a 3-month emergency fund. An emergency fund looks like this. If it costs you $3,000 per month for living expenses, things like gas, groceries, insurance, things like that, then you need to have $9,000, that's 3 times 3,000, to have in a emergency fund. And that's money that you need left over after you pay for a down payment and closing costs for a home. Because again, you don't want to buy a home and then have no money left over in your bank account. You want to have a nice cushion. Then what I'm going to suggest here is you want to buy to secure the house and refinance if or when the rate's lower. Now, I want to be very careful here. There's a lot of people online who do this, marry the house, date the rate. And I think that that's not helpful advice. What I'm suggesting here is that when you look at buying a house, buy the home because you love the home, and also keep in mind that that monthly payment, expect that rates won't lower and that you can't refinance. If the opportunity arises to refinance, that's great. You'll be able to lower your interest rate and lower your monthly payment, but buy to secure the house, and understand that rates may never go down and that your payment may never go down. Don't ever just run off the advice of hoping that rates are going to lower in the future. Consider that when you buy the house, that you're going to have that monthly payment forever. If rates do lower, great, bonus. Then you can go ahead and refinance and get a lower monthly payment. Now, something that's interesting in here too is that you're not in a different position than the person who decided to wait. If you buy now compared to, let's say, a friend of yours who decides to buy later, if rates lower and then they buy then, you're not in a different position than that person. The only difference is that you had to pay a small amount of refinance costs to get the same rate that they did. You were in your home sooner and you found a home that you liked sooner than they did. Now, if you do buy now, just some quick things on the mindset here is that buy within your means and don't make emotional choices. It's really easy to say, I have to buy now, and then start to feel this frenzy of there's pressure and you hear about bidding wars, and all of that can really influence your decisions in a negative way. In intense bidding wars, appraisal contingency waivers, inspection waivers are for people with expendable cash, experience, and are happy with risk. So what I see a lot of home buyers doing is they say, I want to buy now, and they don't have their why set. And maybe they didn't really need to buy right now. They had some luxury to be able to wait if they needed to. And then they start getting into these bidding wars with other people because for some reason they feel like they have to buy now. Get really clear on your why, and these emotional decisions won't be in the way. Okay. And if you are going to look at homes that have multiple offers and you're going up against people who are bidding more money, or you're considering things like appraisal contingency waivers or waiving your inspection, I wouldn't suggest these things. But if you're going to do this, then you need to have a lot of cash and be comfortable with the risk that they involve. Also, something to keep in mind too is that if you buy now with the rates where they're at, is refinancing isn't as expensive as purchasing a home. And a lot of people think refinancing is tens of thousands of dollars. And that's just simply not the case. Refinances are actually really affordable. Most of the time, refinances can be done for under $2,000. And since you're skipping one monthly payment with a refinance, often the closing costs are about the monthly payment that you'd be skipping anyway. So it really doesn't put you out of a lot of cash for most people with a refinance. Also, if you buy now, you're going to have an option to look at things like buy downs. So consider temporary buy downs. And you can go to winthehouseyoulove.com/buy down to explore my buy down calculator. So what a temporary buy down does is it's when the seller or the builder helps you with the monthly payment for the first 2 years, if you're doing a 2-1 buy down. And then if you refinance within that time, you can get that money back to go towards the refinance. And then I would also avoid large permanent buy downs. Since there is an expectation that we're going to see inflation lower and interest rates lower, spending a ton of money on permanent buy downs right now just to get an interest rate that feels lower, it may not be the best decision. And when I say large, I mean, we're seeing people who are paying $20,000 in points to buy down their interest rate. That way they can recoup that money in monthly savings over a long period of time. And again, like I said in the beginning, nobody knows what the future is going to look like. We don't know if rates are going to come down in the future. It's not a strategy that you should just bank on interest rates are going to be lower in the future. But be cautious when you're spending that amount of money up front. And I do have a calculator that you can use at winthehouseyoulove.com/advisor if you do want to explore different scenarios and the break evens of paying points. Now, from your perspective, I would consider buying now as less of buying now and more of I'm ready now, I'm approved, and I'm waiting. A lot of people kind of feel like I have to buy now. And again, let's go back to the why. Why are you buying? Do you actually have to buy now? Is there a real time frame included in your why? So for instance, if you're expecting that your family is going to increase in size in the future, what does that timeline actually look like? What's the realistic timeline here, and attach it to why you're wanting to buy a home? Because I think for most people, don't just say, I want to buy now, and then you have this arbitrary timeline, and it means, well, we're going to try to buy something by the end of the month. Why? Did you really need to buy by the end of the month? I think a better solution here is if you're saying, I'm comfortable buying now, is to say, actually, instead of saying, I want to buy now, I'm ready now. And you're approved and waiting to find the home that meets everything that you want. Okay, so if you're in the camp of, I want to buy later, let's compare some pros and cons here. And this is with the expectation that if you buy later in the year or maybe into early 2025, the interest rates will lower. Again, we don't know what's going to happen with the interest rates. There's no guarantee the interest rates will lower. If they do, then you have a potential for a lower monthly payment, making buying your home a little bit more affordable. Also, again, there's a potential for long-term interest savings. So if interest rates lower, then of course it's going to save you a lot of money over the life of the loan. Now, something to keep in mind with lower rates is it doesn't mean it's going to be easier to buy a home. Lower rates may create more demand in your market and potentially increase prices and bidding wars in your market as well, because there are a lot of people waiting on the sidelines for lower interest rates. Also, if you are waiting, you have a lot of time to be able to work on things that can get you a better interest rate and make buying a home easier and just overall increase your general financial health. And that's things like working on your credit, working on your budget and getting that all put together and organized, having better savings and emergency funds. And then also, I think it's a really good time to start creating a needs and wants list of what do we actually need in a home? Why do you want to buy? And here's the actual needs that you need for that. And then here's some wants. And it gives you a little bit more time and flexibility to figure that out. Now, some cons here is you could miss a home that meets your needs. If you are completely in the spot where you're saying, I'm not going to buy until later, and you're just not even aware of homes that are going up for sale, again, you could miss the perfect home. Again, I say that with quotes because every home is perfect for a period of time in your life that it meets those needs, and then your life changes, and that's okay, and the home doesn't meet those needs anymore. But it's possible there may be something that comes along that's exactly what you need, and it may have gone by, especially with how limited inventory is right now. That can be, for me, a little bit risky, and I would want to be aware of the homes that are being listed for sale. Also, there's potential for more competition. Again, if interest rates lower, that may bring more home buyers out who are wanting to bid against you for the same home. Prices could rise and you could miss out on home appreciation. So in the time that you wait, let's say if you don't wait for another year to buy a home, well, if we look at the past couple of years and how much homes have appreciated, gone up in value, that's appreciation that you could be missing out on if homes continue to appreciate in the future. Also, again, there's no guarantee rates will lower here. A lot of people, when they consider buying later, just automatically assume that it's a guarantee that interest rates will lower. We expect them to lower, but nobody knows what's going to happen with interest rates. Don't make decisions just on speculation. Okay. Now, are the payment changes that significant and worth waiting for? So let's look at 3 different price brackets. Let's first look at $375,000. At a 7.25 rate, it's a payment of $2,430 as a principal and interest payment. And that's with a 5% down 30-year conventional mortgage. Now, compared to a 6.25 rate, that's just shy of $2,200. So you're saving about $230 per month with a full 1% drop in interest rates. And again, we don't know if interest rates will drop to that amount, but I just want to show this to help you see what the payment differences could be. And then I'm not going to go through every single one here, but you can see the differences at $400,000 and the differences at $425,000 as well. Now, keep in mind that rates will not change. Now, something else to keep in mind, that if rates lower, they will not change things like your monthly homeowner's insurance, your property taxes, and HOA as well. Interest rates only make up a portion of your mortgage payment. They control the principal and interest portion of your monthly payment, but your homeowner's insurance isn't going to decrease in the future just because rates change. Property taxes are not going to decrease because rates change, and your HOA will not change because rates change. People in this situation, I've found, who are looking to buy later, often are caught off guard and try to make it all happen in a weekend. And I've kind of called this Zillow doom scrolling. And a really good example of this is a friend of mine. I was talking with him and he was like, I'm looking to buy a house. I said, cool, tell me what you've done. And pretty much him looking to buy a house, all that meant was he's been on Zillow and he just scrolls through Zillow. And then he finds a house that he thinks looks cool. And then he goes to try to schedule a showing. And by the time he schedules a showing to even just look at the home, somebody already made an offer. And he's not even pre-qualified for a loan, doesn't know how much he can afford, doesn't know where his credit is at, doesn't know what his budget is, doesn't know why he wants to buy a home. And so often what I can find in people who are saying they want to buy later is they often will kind of just sit and passively look at homes. Then all of a sudden, that perfect home comes by and they're not prepared. And they try to make everything, they try to squeeze it all in a weekend and try to get pre-qualified, figure out their budget, figure out their why. They go through the whole thing and are rushed and stressed and anxious. And they wonder why the process is so overwhelming. Well, if you slow down, actually get prepared first, and then do what I think is the ideal situation, which is to be approved and waiting. And that, what I mean by that is getting pre-qualified for a mortgage. So reach out to us at winthehouseyoulove.com. We work in all 50 states. So get pre-qualified for a mortgage. So you're approved and you're waiting for the right home. And if you don't find that home within 6 months, that's perfectly fine. You're sitting on the sidelines ready to go when the perfect house comes by. Now, keep in mind, you're not the only one waiting here. And this really good video from Mike Simonson and Altos Research. He says in this video, there are folks on the sidelines who are waiting for rates to drop so they can swoop in for sudden bargains. They may not realize how much competition is waiting right along with them. Meanwhile, mortgage rates are actually rising. So keep that in mind. Just because you're waiting, a lot of people feel like no one else is waiting for interest rates to lower. There are tons of people waiting on the sidelines for interest rates to lower. And when they do, it's likely that you may see a lot more demand in your local market. So the bottom line here is that for most people, they want a home and not an investment. And I really want you to take just a little bit more time to dwell on that for maybe the rest of the day, especially as you see a lot of videos and start to evaluate, how are those videos trying to make me think about buying a home? Are they trying to make me think about buying a home as an investment or as an actual home that's going to change my lifestyle? Because of course, we don't want to make bad decisions with buying a home, but also you're likely not buying a home that's an investment, and it doesn't need to make you a profit when you buy a home, because we're not expecting it to be an investment. We're expecting it to be something that changes our lifestyle. Also, waiting to time interest rates won't put you in a dramatically better financial position than the person who bought and refinanced. You may even miss out on appreciation. Again, the only difference between someone who purchased now and purchase in the future, if interest rates lower, is that you just had to refinance to get lower rates. Of course, home prices could change in that time. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. There's so much speculation that can happen in here, but it's something to consider that you can still have access to lower rates when they do lower through refinancing. And second is waiting to time interest rates won't put you in a dramatically better financial position than the person who bought and refinanced. You may even miss out on appreciation. And basically, what I want you to understand here is if you buy a home now and rates do lower in the future, you can still get that lower rate by refinancing into that rate. And again, refinances aren't as expensive as people expect them to be. What a lot of people, I think, consider is they feel like that if they wait to buy a home and get a lower rate, then all of a sudden that's going to mean that they become wealthy. A lot of people feel like there's going to be these huge dramatic financial changes in their financial health and financial position. And it really isn't that dramatically different if you had to pay for a refinance. Again, that should be under about $2,000 for a refinance to then get access to a lower interest rate compared to somebody else. And again, you may miss out on appreciation of that home in the time that you're waiting as well. Approved and waiting is my personal goal. It's what I did when I was buying my house. Is I made sure that I could get a loan. I was comfortable with my budget. I knew what my credit score was. I knew exactly what I wanted. And even while rates were rising at the time when I was buying a home, I was comfortable sitting on the sidelines and saying, I know what I want. I know what the payment's going to be, and I'm going to wait for the perfect home to come by. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine. There was no harm done in getting approved. I wanted to wait out and find the home that worked for me, and not saying I didn't have to buy in 3 months because my why didn't require any sort of specific timeline. Now, through this, you want to work with a helpful team. So our team works in all 50 states, and we can help you see your numbers and pick the best loan. So if you'd like to work with our team, you can go to winthehouseyoulove.com/lender to schedule a call with us at a time that works for you. And then once you're pre-qualified, you want to go ahead and talk with a real estate agent. And a real estate agent is going to help you find the home that you love and negotiate the best offer. If you'd like to be connected with an agent in your local area, in our network, you can go to winthehouseyoulove.com/agent.